Hi, today I want to talk about ungating. It's been struggle, invoices getting rejected sometimes, or actually very often from the brand, even if you have LOA, right? So this video is just about the SOP I've created and tell you a little bit about my experience. So first thing, getting rejected is normal, okay? It's just one of those things, I don't even expect to get approved on the first try anymore. It's just like I know that I have to do it a couple of times. Also, when you applying for the first time, you most likely the application will go to the a robot, right? But what we do, obviously, when we get rejected, we go back to the case, we reply, and then most likely it's going to be a person, actually looking at it. I'm going to actually go over the steps here and talk about it. I personally know two people that tried around 30 times before finally they got approved, right? One of them I'm helping to manage their account, and the second one I've been coaching. Uh, one guy it took about 4 months to get ungated. The other guy, the one I'm helping manage, it took 3 months, which is still a lot, but yeah. So I'm not saying you will always have to go over these 30 days. It's also because we've tried to sometimes when they try to reply, they took a couple of days off, which I haven't tested if it works, but pretty much when I get rejected, I replied within the same day or maybe like the second day after, right? So we always reply to the same case by clicking on the case number, right? You never click the reply button that is on the right side. You always click on the case number so you get the page, and on the top of the page there's a blue button called reply. You click on it, you send a message saying such as, please review the attached information. The invoice meets your requirement for approval. Okay, and you just obviously upload the same invoice, just rename it. The thing is that we're trying to make the document look like a different document this time, because obviously replying within the exactly same thing, it doesn't really make sense, right? So we're trying to rename the file, upload it as PNG, as image. Second time we try to actually, PDF. But the thing is, we're trying to make it look like we're uploading something different this time, and it does work. So the SOP, which is standalone document that you can find, in our SOP folder, I've created this. We're talking about ungating, like persistence, accuracy, those things when you just have to keep in mind that the accuracy actually is a big thing. Recently, I met a guy who's trying to get ungated, but find out that his address on the invoice is actually wrong. Just one word, not a full street address. It was slightly different, and that was the reason he couldn't get ungated, right? So the thing is, rejection, like I said, is very normal and expected. Don't get discouraged, don't get scared, don't panic. It's normal. You will get rejected, okay? And obviously, working with authorized distributors is a key, or directly with the brand. Like I said, the brand you can get rejected even with the brand's invoice, right? That's the thing. What I just realized I'd like to add in this SOP is sales. Literally, we had one seller support on us on the phone with us, and saying that all you have to do is focus on sales. The more you sell on the account, the more trust you gain from Amazon, the more you make this account mature. So most likely, what we did actually as a test was that we used an invoice, we got rejected like 5 times. Then we focused on sales, and after 2 months, we tried the same invoice, the very same invoice, created a new case, and it worked on the first try, right? So yes, Amazon wants to, see that you're active, the sales. So I always focus on the sales on the beginning rather than on profits. It might sound harsh, where it sounds like I rather care about the number of sales rather than the how much money the client makes. But I'm not saying we would lose money. I'm just saying the profit expected, what I do with clients, and what I would recommend is to tell them the ROI, the profits might be slightly smaller on the beginning, right? But it's because we're trying to focus on sales. With sales, you get feedback to your account, which leads to better buy box rotation, more trust from Amazon when it comes to ungating. And actually know multiple people, listen to this, I know multiple people applying for ungating with the invoice they received from a different supplier. Does it make sense? Basically, I know a guy who has an invoice from Target. Target is something I don't recommend, right? Because it's retailer. But I've seen with my own eyes where, you can go and apply with this invoice for any brand that requires like 10 or 100 units for approval, and he, like 80% of the time, he got automatically accepted, like within the seconds. It wasn't even under a review, the case. It was just like that, Amazon saying, based on your performance, you got ungated, congrats, whatever. So what I'm saying, their system is broken, and some people would be even uploading blank documents, right? But the thing is, sales. So we focus on the sales, right? That's what we focus in. So when we get rejected, we're trying to read, if they gave us a reason inside the case, right? What are we trying else? We go to the account settings, business info, legal entity, and sometimes there might be additional verification required from Amazon, meaning most likely you're getting rejected because the account is not fully verified. You sometimes don't see this error on the main Amazon dashboard. That's why you have to go here manually to actually see it. Otherwise, you will not see it, right? So obviously, we go there, we see it, and if everything is green, everything's okay, that you're good to go. We try to obviously verify the name, the address, everything that has to match in the Sales Central. Literally everything. There might be something slightly different, and Amazon will obviously reject it. So we're trying to be the name, the LLC name, address, everything, email address, even the email address, as on Amazon has to match on the invoice. Also, what Amazon wants to always see is the address of your supplier and yours, the name, their logo, and perhaps even some sort of contact, because they want to verify. I found out over the years that if the invoice has something like a stamp saying paid, or like zero, meaning you owe them zero because you paid it, or big paid, Amazon likes it even more, because it's a proof that this invoice has been paid. Because sometimes when you upload the invoice, they will tell you like, oh, this is received, we don't accept receipts and stuff, this is not a real reason or proof that it's been paid. So a huge paid on the invoice, I've seen has a higher results, better results with approvals. And and the zero, it might be the second thing. I also know somebody who downloaded a bank statement showing the actual transaction. So they show them the invoice has been like 5,000, and they downloaded the transaction of their bank account, which was 5,000, and they used it as a proof. Hey guys, this invoice has been paid, right? So, yeah, we resubmit the invoice, rename it, and rename it. So we rename it and then resubmit. I like to keep the word invoice in the name of the file. It could be something like, I don't know, invoice underscore and some number, right? But every time I resubmit, I rename it and I use different words. Um, Invoice underscore KE underscore, whatever, some numbers. You can highlight the products inside actually of the invoice. Sometimes you get rejected saying that the document has been altered, meaning edited. And yeah, sometimes it does when you're trying to highlight the product, it does, they will reject it saying this. So it's very normal. Like I said, we always reply to the case by clicking on the case number, seeing the reply button on the top where we put that sentence mentioned here, and with the updated name of the invoice, and you upload the invoice. And in case Amazon close the case, so you can't reply to it anymore, it's simple. You just create a new one. That's what we do. After it's closed, I would probably wait a day or two before I do it again if it's for a brand. And at the end, it's most likely, most of the times it does work. I don't remember many instances where the person would really struggle with ungating, even though sometimes it's just frustrating and takes a lot of time. Also, this one is interesting. You can actually print out the document, the invoice, right? Take picture of it and upload your invoice as image, because yes, Amazon allows images, right? It doesn't have to be PDF. And now when you take an image, imagine this, you can do so much with it. You take an image and you can either submit it as image or upload it to PDF and upload it PDF. So you have two versions. Then you can upload it as PDF and highlight the product, right, within the image being with it. Or you can take the image and then highlight the product on the image. You immediately have 4 variations, right, of the initial image you've taken. So yeah, that's what I do. And sometimes the thing with printing out, it works on the first try because it shows Amazon, it looks like literally a different document, something different this time. Additional tips, handling the relevant products, like we spoke about, like I've mentioned. Contact sales support directly, and I mean like call, because they would log in, basically go inside the actual account you're dealing with, and they, doesn't happen very often, but sometimes they're able to see something that you could be missing, and they would give actually helpful advice. Not every time. It's like pretty a lot. You can expect a lot when you're being on the call with them, that it won't be useful. But sometimes you just have to go on a couple of calls before you get to the right person with the good answers. So don't give up if you won't get answer on the first try. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, rejection is normal. We have to always make sure that everything is accurate. Persistence pays off, meaning you just have to keep replying, keep replying. I do know of 8-figure seller on Amazon doing selling for 8 years, and they have the same issue. They're being rejected, and it happens to everyone. And yeah, hopping on the call with sales support does help, and always rename the file. So that's it.